Seoul, Korea. This is Nick Tasteless Plot broadcasting to you at the GOM TV Averatec-Intel Classic. It's a real pleasure to be down here. We have some exciting games coming up today. This is day 2 of the tournament. We are now only have 64 players left. We started out with 128, and half of those players have been eliminated. Mostly going to be Zerg games today. The lineup that I will read off real fast is going to be the first game, Orion versus oDin. It's CJ player versus a Samsung player. That'll be a Zerg versus Zerg, so that should be pretty interesting. Next, we're going to have Adamus, and you probably know him as Cassie. He's a very, very famous and very creative Terran player from We Made Fox, playing against Raid, a rather new Zerg player from KTF. Next game is going to be 815 versus Fantastic, Zerg versus Protoss, KTF versus Hanbit. And finally, we're going to have Yellow once again being casted here, a Zerg player on KTF against, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce his name. I think it's Zergjwa. I think his name is derived from Choja. Just take the C-H-O off of Choja and put Zerg in front of it. He's also a Zerg player, pretty new to the scene on Leakaf. Although my piece of paper in front of me actually says Recaf. So the map lineup for the tournament is going to be Katrina first, Blue Storm, second, Coliseum third. Katrina and Blue Storm, both very popular maps in the pro gaming scene right now. They made for some very interesting games. A lot of people are still questioning what race is really favored on these maps. A lot of people thought that Protoss simply could not lose against Terran on Katrina, but now we're starting to see that fast armory builds are really beginning to make a difference. And with that being said, I think the games are going to be very, very interesting. Cheers to everybody at Team Liquid and GhostofGamers.net, Pure Opponent, G-Bombs World, all those sites. I hope you guys are tuned in and watching. If you obviously cannot tune in at this time, let your friends know that we have all these VODs stored on the GOM TV site at www.gomtv.net. So you can go check them out at any point in time and just watch some awesome StarCraft games. So after this, I believe we're going to have only 32 players left as the next day comes on. And, actually, now I see that oDin has joined the game. oDin also, he's a pretty popular Zerg player. Don't get him confused with the famous Brazilian StarCraft player, oDin, who is also very strong. Occasionally we do have pro gamers with that have the same names. But yeah, so I can't wait to get this game started. Zerg versus Zerg on Katrina means we're more than likely going to be able to see Zerg getting a hatchery up pretty fast, although that does make it a little bit dangerous, especially because Zerg versus Zerg has such an emphasis on mutilas. Oh, looks like they've spotted me. I hope you guys are enjoying the games. I can't wait to get them started. I prefer watching the games versus sitting here and talking to you. Actually, I prefer casting the games the most. And again, Cassie versus Raid, in my predictions for that match is going to be Cassie's probably going to dominate Raid. Cassie's just such a strong gamer, and he's just so creative. I think a few months ago he actually beat a Zerg with a nuke rush. It was pretty smart, and it was just a big deal in Korea because, everybody thought that you couldn't even use nukes in StarCraft because the scanner was simply so important. He actually he nuked the sunken colonies, and then he just rushes in there and tries to take out the hatchery. Pretty interesting strategy. Maybe we'll see something like that in this event. Who knows? So again, here's the lineup of those players. Orion and oDin, both pretty notable players. A lot of the Koreans right now believe that Orion is probably going to be the winner of this, although I've talked to some of oDin's teammates, and they've definitely got they say he's been practicing very, very hard for this, and that they think his Zerg vs. Zerg has gotten a lot stronger. Here's the next list of matches. We're, of course, saving Yellow for last against Zergjwa. But I think that game's going to be pretty interesting as well. So we have a lot of we either have pretty even matchups for this tournament today, or they seem to be pretty one-sided, although that can always make it interesting if the underdog comes back and comes out on top. Again, if you're just now tuning in, this is Nick Plot, also known as Tasteless at the GOM TV Averatec-Intel Classic, bringing you the best and the only English StarCraft coverage out there, constantly live. This is a big event, the largest tournament actually in Korea. As I said before, we had 128 players, and I believe we have the largest prize pool of over $150,000 total. that will slowly be distributed. A lot of the famous players, some people have been asking on the forums, hey, where are some of these more famous pro gamers? I know we've seen Yellow, and for instance, we're going to be seeing Cassie today, but a lot of people are like, why aren't we seeing more of these games? Well, that's because most of the more successful pro gamers in the past year have actually been seeded already far in advance in the tournament. So you will be seeing a lot of interesting games as time passes. Here we have Orion and oDin getting another shot of them. They're both in the booth. I just now see that Orion has joined as well. Orion, a very strong CJ Zerg player. Zerg versus Zerg, of course, a pretty interesting matchup. It's kind of like watching a boxing match in a telephone booth or something. It's just very crazy. There's not a lot of room for errors, and one small mistake can really turn the whole game upside down. You can lose very quickly. Drone counting is so critical. Granted, it's always important in StarCraft. Drone counting is just it's a huge part of Zerg versus Zerg. If you get maybe 2 extra drones and your opponent decides that he can then get 4 extra Zerglings and rush in there and take you out, it's over. However, if you get too far behind in those drones, you may not be able to acquire resources that quickly. So we're going to see Zerglings coming out, more than likely Zergling speed, and then of course a tech to a layer to get Mutalisk. However, if they tech too fast, then those Zerglings will just overrun that other Zerg player before he can actually achieve his tech. So it's a very, very dangerous, deadly matchup. A lot of fun to watch. It's like a tightrope walk trying to macro in a matchup like this and not be overcome. We generally don't see Zerg versus Zerg go on for too terribly long either, which is interesting as well. Most of these Zerg versus Zerg games actually are somewhere in between, I would say, 4 minutes and 10 minutes. They usually don't go too much more past that. That doesn't mean we won't see a long game. It's just not that likely. And Katrina and Bluestorm are, of course, going to make for some very interesting games in Zerg versus Zerg. They're maps that you don't have this like small entrance, so to speak, that you can really cut off a lot of Zerglings. We do have something a little bit like that on Bluestorm, but it's still not that it's not like a ramp, for instance, on Python or Lost Temple. Sorry if I'm coughing too much. I have a little bit of a cold today, but I've been sleeping a lot, so I think I've recovered from that. But my voice might be a little bit torn up. Stay tuned.
2008 TG Sambo Intel Classic. StarCraft Universe, welcome to the Korean Ultimate Tournament. Get ready.
Hold on just 1 second. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties. Hold on just a minute, please. That my monitor went out for just a second. I'm back now, and I just had somebody update me on who's who. Okay, so Orion is going to be the yellow player, and the red player is going to be oDin. So both players have started out moving their overlords in directions that are not going to spot each other early on. We may see a scout with a drone in that case. However, taking one drone off the minerals, especially in Zerg versus Zerg, can get you behind. However, intelligence is also even more so important in a game like StarCraft. Obviously, they're going to, when the next overlords come out, and they're going to be moving towards the other, more than likely, expansion. Here we see, oh great, we got a token white guy in the audience. I don't feel alone here anymore. Now, as we can see, the first drone for oDin is being transferred to the expansion, so he will be going for a hatchery on 12. Pretty safe build. Meanwhile, a spawning pool first for Yellow. So, Yellow's build has the option of being a little bit more defensive. Honestly, oDin's build is a little bit risky, although the odds of you getting rushed with Zerglings right off the bat in this map is not quite as likely. And now we can see that there's okay, now they've both gotten their spawning pools and an extractor, so pretty similar build so far. However, we did see oDin get that one hatchery up just a little bit faster. Spawning pool's about to finish. And both players now realize exactly where their opponents are. We don't see either player saving all of the larvae to get 6 Zerglings, so instead it's going to be more of an economic build. Another interesting thing about this map is that the main, the place where your first hatchery starts is just a little bit farther away from the extractor than normal, which means that you're going to have to put 4 drones into the Vespian gas geyser if you want to mine at optimum capacity. And the problem with that is that, well, hey, you don't get that many drones in Zerg versus Zerg, so you could end up putting too many drones into the Vespian gas and then get overrun with Zerglings. Layer now coming out, so both players going for that early layer. Okay, indeed, yes, both players are going for that early layer rather than using any kind of Zergling emphasis early on. 2 Zerglings now probably going to come up here, maybe try to apply some pressure. Now we see 4 for oDin. Note the positioning of the spawning pool at the entrances to kind of keep too many Zerglings from overwhelming them. They can kind of use that as a little bit of a wall off. Zerg really want to try to tech to those mules quickly, so a lot of times they'll kind of create their own little wall in so that it's harder for the Zerglings to actually rush through. That way that way they can defend with less Zerglings and still tech to mules in time. Here come 2 Zerglings now, probably going to try to come in here and maybe pick off a drone if he can come in here and do it. I don't know if he's got Zergling speed though, or if he's going to get Zergling speed, because he clearly doesn't have it now. Teching to that layer. It looks as though Orion is getting a few more drones. And no, he did not get that one drone. However, he may try to loop around and pick off the wounded drone this time. Now sending 2 more Zerglings in here to try to get the drones in the front. Spire will be starting in seconds. And here's a Spire for oDin. Oh, it looks like oDin is actually, if you look on the minimap, is rushing up here. Okay, Zergling speed also done for him. And these 2 Zerglings are probably not going to be able to do that much damage because the Zerglings can simply micro themselves. Oh, what? Okay, he's going to probably try to defend that with just the drones. He knows he has to turn around and try to apply some more pressure, forcing his opponent to make more Zerglings than less Mutalisks. Here come the Zerglings now, zipping around. Zergling speed just now finishing for Orion. It also appears as though Orion has put a few Zerglings at the front of his entrance to kind of get that high ground advantage. Then he can retreat behind that spawning pool and neutral building and micro from there if he has to. Here come the Zerglings now. Oh, no, he did not manage to do that much damage with it. 4 more Zerglings sent out, probably going to do some type of harassment. There's no way either of these players can afford to make a sunken colony right now. They would just be behind in 1 drone, and that would mean just too much in this matchup. Taking a look, it looks like both players have a pretty equal amount of drones. But we see a lot of Zerglings now spawned for oDin, and nice positioning, though, with those Zerglings for Orion at the next high ground spot. Essentially, he can keep falling back to this first high ground, then the second high ground, and then finally to that other area to defend. But look at this. Looks like Red's going around now. The Red player, oDin. Orion suddenly thinking that he can actually rush in here and take out his opponent. However, there's going to be a counterattack. Both players may end up picking each other off. Here they come in now. He's going to have to get behind those drones, try to micro them. And there's just too many of Yellow's Zerglings, also known as Orion. And here come the Zerglings into Orion's base as well, but he has some Mutalisks to possibly hold this up, but he's got to micro those drones as well as he possibly can. It does look like the Red player, oDin, has actually held off that attack and is now coming around with more Zerglings. Drones are being taken out. It's not clear how many he's actually got because they are stacked right now. We could see a possible counterattack, though, once the Red player, oDin, his attack finishes, but Scourge are already out and Evolution Chamber is on the way, 1 Spore Colony. Although, let's be frank here, it does not look like oDin has very many drones either. A common technique for... Oh, hold... There comes a lot of Zerglings to look at these mules to be able to drive him out, but look, more mules coming in here to the back, taking out... No, there's no drones there. He's probably moved them away already strategically. Only about 7 or 8 drones over there. Another Zergling counterattack, but then whips back around. Don't ask me why, because I'm not sure why he did that. He should have ran in there. Here comes some more Zerglings. He's going to have to use these Mutalisks to try to defend all the drones he can. Now splitting up those Zerglings. The Spore Colony is up, so Mutalisk harassment will be an impossibility over there. Looks like another Spore Colony is coming up here. Definitely not the right thing for Orion to be attacking. That he certainly wanted to get those drones instead. It does not look like he was paying attention. Here he comes with the Mutalisk now. I think that oDin is doing a fantastic job of forcing Orion to stay in his base with the Mutalisks, because if he leaves with the Mutalisks, then the Zerglings can come in there and do another counterattack. And here they come now. He realizes they've been spotted, so he's going to rush in here and probably start taking out drones, or at least attempting to. This one Zergling could probably start attacking that spire at the bottom, pulling these Mutalisks down. Oh no, there's drones down there as well. He does not want to lose a single drone. Oh! Nice save for Orion. Although it certainly does seem like oDin is in a pretty good standing right now. He will be immune to Mutalisk harassment at either expansion. Meanwhile, Yellow is going to have to use just his Mutalisks to defend. He can't afford to take any drones and make a Spore Colony or even an Evolution Chamber that will allow him to make that Spore Colony, because at this moment, he is just so far behind in the drone count. Now he's going to try to come in here, maybe try to pick off this Overlord. More than likely not, though. If he can use these Scourge, but no, he's moving the Scourge out there to try to see if he can grab a few Mutalisks, or catch a few Mutalisks with them. Now taking out a few drones and then retreating, but it looks as though oDin is actually counterattacking and coming into Orion's main, and he will lose a lot of drones. And if he can micro those Mutalisks well enough, but not get caught by the Scourge, which are going to come in here and try to intercept. And here come, oh my gosh, and here comes some more Scourge as well for oDin. And they're going to have to do that Mutalisk Patrol micro trick to catch them, and yes, they did. Nice control for both players. Some Zerglings now got inside of Orion's base, and they're now taking out these drones. No, they're not. All the drones live. Taking a look over here at oDin, we can see he's got some more Zerglings coming up here. And it looks like that Spire had also been taken out, so he had to rebuild that. Not having the Spire forces him to start using Zerglings more. Now he's going to come in here, take out a few drones to draw the Yellow forces up Orion back, and then rush in here on this side. He's going to go for the lair rather than the pool. A gutsy move, but it looks as though Orion's control is too well, and he will take out the remainder of those Mutalisks, having no air force at all. But if he loses his lair, it will be incredibly difficult to recover, and it actually looks like he will manage to get the lair. You know, 15-7, no, it's gone. He's lost the lair. If he loses his Spire, there'll be no way to get Mutalisks. And it looks like oDin's response is to very quickly produce another Spore Colony back in his main, just in case he tries to take all of those Mutalisks and just try to overwhelm his opponent. Meanwhile, using those Zerglings to force Orion to stay in his base. Using up the rest of the larva before the creep expires. He's got to do something to hang on. A rather sloppy move by oDin, but he did at least pull those Mutalisks back. Now checking for any possible new air units over here with the Scourge. Turned out to be a very exciting game right off the bat here. 3 drones within the main of oDin. However, Orion could come back and do some serious Mutalisk harassment and pick off a few drones, but it's going to be very dangerous. He needs some type of defense. Looks like he's probably going to make a Sunken Colony over here. Nice control there with those Mutalisks. But the spawning pool will be taken out, and that Sunken Colony cannot be made. Slowly but surely, oDin is replenishing his number of Mutalisks. Now coming in here and picking off a Scourge, but I do believe there's a high probability of a counterattack by oDin. Now the spawning pool, in fact, it does indeed look like oDin's spawning pool will be taken out. He's going to try to use those Mutalisks to bait them towards the Spore. In fact, excuse me, the Sunken Colony did finish just in time. This will give Orion the only opportunity he has to come out and do some type of harassment. Looks as though oDin did pick off a few drones. A drone, I believe. He could pick off that spawning pool and then possibly rush in here with some Zerglings, even though he only has 1 hatchery. There are so many Mutalisks in the force of Orion, but there's no way he can engage that unless he's going to do some type of suicide mission where he picks off those drones. Looks like he's going to try to come in on this side, see if he can't get any drone harassment in over here. Looks like he'll have some... No, he's going to go for the Spire! And this is going to be absolutely terrible for oDin. No Spire, no Mutalisks. It's been taken out. Now he's going to... Oh, but look at this. Here comes some Mutalisks now for, looks like oDin, excuse me. And now taking out these drones and probably this hatchery as well. This has forced Orion to move back. And now he's taking out so many drones. The Mutalisk micro is so good. There's no way the drones can escape. Now it's a matter of whether or not oDin can actually micro his Mutalisk back to save them. And it looks like he split them up. A smart move. Run. No, he did not manage to make it out of there. I should have said fly, actually. Mutalisk can't run. But instead, more importantly, back to the action. The hatchery is almost finished. It looks as though oDin has recovered from losing that Spire by moving in there and taking out a multitude of those drones. And Scorch flew into the danger zone. That is the no-fly zone for Scorch. He should have not been that close. Once again, going to try to fly in here with that Scorch, maybe pick off a Mutalisk as it hatches. Orion is barely hanging on with only 5 drones. Meanwhile, oDin has many drones, but is being forced to make more and more spore colonies. The Spire is once again in a position where it can get picked off. I don't really know why he put that there. Now we see the drone count is raised up. He may try to... I'm not sure what he's going to do with that Scorch. He may... Okay, nice control once again for Orion. In case you're wondering how they're actually managing to pick off the Scorch, since probably when you try this kind of stuff at home, they just die. You have to grab the Mutalisks and then right-click them to move at a 45-degree angle while telling them to attack with the patrol button. Because for some reason, patrol makes the units in StarCraft respond just a few milliseconds faster, and for some reason it doesn't stop them quite as quickly. And that's how you see Mutalisks shooting behind themselves. One drone at the expansion, the drone with no friends. Meanwhile, the party is actually going down at Orion's expansion, which has now, in a sense, become his main base. Orion has to come up with something pretty fast here because oDin has such a tremendous advantage. Going to go for that. No, yeah, I was wondering why he would probably do that. He could take out that neutral building and then sneak in there with a few Zerglings, but I don't think that's going to happen. More and more drones being pumped. As you can see, there are these overlords that are alternating spots. That's because the players grab the Mutalisks and then put one overlord in the group. If the overlord is on the other side of the map, this forces the Mutalisks to clump together, making it very difficult to, or very easy, I should say, to maneuver around. Oh, here comes a big battle, though. And it looks like it's control. That patrol control is just too good, but there might be so many Scorch, it just might not matter. And it does appear as though the red player oDin has too many Mutalisks. And I believe there's only 2 Mutalisks left. Now it's going to be 1, and finally 0. No, but there are actually 2 Mutalisks over here at the expansion, but it doesn't matter. I detect GG very soon. And, all right, here it comes. Good game. Well played by both, but oDin just came out on top. Remarkable game. This is a real, it was a lot of fun to cast that. There's oDin, probably very happy. A lot of people said he was an underdog coming into this round, and now he's come out victorious in the first game, but it's not over yet. We've got another game coming up on Blue Storm. And that is very exciting. Blue Storm, a very different map from Katrina. As I was saying before, just to clear up what I was talking about with those alternating overlord spots, they will always put an overlord in a very far away location, put it in that group, and then use that to micro the Mutalisks with, because the overlord remains so far away that the Mutalisks clump together so much. It's great for micro, but then eventually the overlord starts to get too close to their opponent's base, so they take the alternating overlord, put that in the control group, and then move the first overlord back to the far away spot, and that way they just keep doing that cycle, so that way the Mutalisks are just clumped together very, very tightly. It makes it tough to target fire the weakest Mutalisk. You pretty much end up having to target the one on top. And that's very critical in Zerg versus Zerg. Zerg versus Zerg, a really cool matchup. I will admit it is pretty one-dimensional. You don't really see anything but the Zerglings and the Mutalisks, but it just turns out to make for some very exciting, fast-paced games. That was actually one of the longer and more dramatic Zerg versus Zergs I've casted in a while. I wonder how this next game is going to end up. oDin is, of course, ahead one game, and Orion has to win 2 more games to advance. I see that it looks like oDin's joined the game now. Orion may be continuing to watch the replay just to, kind of see what he did wrong. Maybe there's something that he missed in that game. A lot of Zerg vs. Zerg comes down to your ability to micro, so much micro involved, and of course the decision-making in your build orders. And now I see our other player, Orion, has joined, probably watching that replay on fast mode. Here is a shot of a jacket. That probably said something interesting. My Korean is not good enough to understand what it said. So, okay, and now it looks like both players have said that they are ready to get the game started. We could see the players once again go for a hatchery at the expansion, or we could see them keep the next hatchery in their main. One does allow you to get that extractor, the second extractor out earlier, and get a few more Mutalisks. However, it's a little bit riskier. You're also more vulnerable to Zergling harassment. We, of course, could expect to see both Zerg players get the hatchery of their expansion on Katrina, simply because the expansion is in the back of your base, which makes it very easy to get there and defend that. Stay tuned, guys.
2008 TG Sabo.